Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is David and this is David K Reacts. And on the 10th of August last year, 2021, Sabaton posted that on social media as a teaser for their forthcoming album, The War to End All Wars, that launched 4 days later on August the 14th. The Morse code there translates to The War to End All Wars, I believe. And I mean, what a cool way to announce an album. It's such a fantastic idea. Anyway, this is my reaction channel, and in case you hadn't guessed it, sorry, I'm just going to move that microphone just a little. In case you hadn't guessed it, I am reacting today to oh my goodness, that's bright. To Sabaton's Christmas Truce. This has been requested on my channel a number of times. I wanted to mention, where possible, anyone who had fired recommendations my way. So this was recommended by both Lee Chowning and Beth Walsh as something to look at, as well as a couple of others I think I haven't written down. And I wanted to do something different that was still Christmas related, and this seemed like a really cool choice. I know a reasonable amount about the Christmas Truce. 1914, December the 24th, until the 26th, the fighting in World War I unofficially stopped. There was an unofficial ceasefire across many of the trench lines, and soldiers from France, Britain and Germany walked into no man's land, exchanged stories, rations, memorabilia. There were prisoner swaps. They allowed each other to bury the fallen, and they even at one point reportedly engaged in a game of football. I've read somewhere that might be apocryphal. I'm not sure. I don't know the true history of that, but it has certainly inspired many great stories, and in an event that I'm sure none imagined would go on for the 4 years that followed. At that point, I'm sure it was a very, very welcome break in something that had begun, I believe, 3 or 4 months earlier. I forget, when was I should know the starting date of World War I. That's very poor. Yes, July 1914, 28th of July 1914. So 5 months later, pretty much, on the nose, that truce happened. And I mean, what an extraordinary thing in and amidst the aggression and let's be honest, the testosterone and a lot of very confused and hard feelings, I'm sure. To be able to take that moment and acknowledge fellow man is a critical indication of humanity, I think. Anyway, Sabaton released the song Christmas Truce on August the 14th last year, and so I'm going to have a look at it. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, welcome back if you have. If you haven't been here before, just to give you a quick idea of how I work, I'm going to watch the video straight through uninterrupted. I will react and talk over the top of it, but I'm not going to pause it at any point. And if that's all you want to watch, that's fine. That'll be the first part of this video, but then I will go back, break it down, and throw what analysis I feel like I can contribute onto my second watch through of it, and that will be paused and stopped and considered. So yeah, hopefully this is something you enjoy. This is very different. I haven't done metal music before on the channel. It's been exclusively a cappella up to this point, because even the one time I didn't do one of the a cappella groups or individuals that I follow, it was still a solo voice arrangement. So this is something very different, but hopefully will be enjoyable for you. If you enjoy this, please like, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell. Yeah, so without further ado, the last thing, I should mention, I have a goal for myself. By the end of the year, I would like to hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm a little bit shy of 750 right now, so if you do enjoy my work, please do hit that subscribe button. It would be wonderful gift for the holiday season to wake up with 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you like my work, please consider doing so. So without further ado, let's react to Sabaton's Christmas Truce. Oh goodness. I mean, it's accurate, but wow, this is a A more realistic start than I was expecting.
Ready!
No matter how many times I see depictions of trench warfare, it's so shocking and horrifying.
Can you hear me?
What a
Can you hear me?
terrible experience. I mean, all war, but
Hannes! Come on!
Silence. Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence. Then all the cannons went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land. We are all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never.
wow, those lyrics.
Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night.
Right,
Guns lay to rest on
they sang together too.
flags. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on the front, far from home.
Wow, that verse. Holy, that's powerful.
Madness. How I remember the sadness. We were hiding our tears in a foreign land where we faced our fears. We were soldiers, carried the war on our shoulders. For our nations, what are you doing? Is that when we bury our friends? We were all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns lay to rest on the snowflakes. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on the front, far from home.
What? My goodness, this is so powerful. I love playing an acoustic guitar. Wow, everything about this is already so extraordinary. Oh my goodness, wow. Woo! This is extraordinary what they're doing with this. I don't want to talk over it much, but I'm aware I have to talk a little bit for copyright purposes. Wow. contrast is so strong. Christmas truce written on the cross. Oh. My goodness, that video is powerful. Oh, this is so gorgeous too. It's not every day you expect to see stuntmen in a music video. Well, no, I guess there's probably a fair few stuntmen in music videos, but something this substantial. Did I miss at the beginning of this who is singing? Because I don't know who this is singing now, the female voice, or voices. Okay, there's our people, yes, I saw the names. I looked that up beforehand. By Joachim, okay, written by Pat. I don't know how to pronounce these names, that's terrible, I should have looked that up. Per and Joachim. Oh wow. Oh, and the bells just tolling it out too. Oh! My goodness, this is a powerful piece of music. I knew with the subject matter it wasn't going to be, you know, happy and jolly, obviously, but I love they've done such a great job of paying tribute. World War I is not my specialty. I know World War II history significantly better. But, you know, the uniforms look good to my eye. What I understand of World War I trench warfare, that looks accurate to my eye. Or at least within the bounds of what they're able to reproduce without having to have 20 minutes of exposition. And I love that they are paying tribute, but also marking it. The choice to actually mark, especially because they didn't release it on a centenary. It wasn't, for want of a better phrase, a big date. Like, you know, 2014 or something like that. It was 2021. But I love that they've chosen to mark it, and they're paying respect from now to then. Goodness me. Ooh, that's powerful stuff. Joachim is a very talented music writer, but also he and I should check. Okay, minor cut there while I confirmed pronunciation. So Per and Joachim have put together such a stunning piece here. The story is really well told, I think, especially given the time limit they have to tell it in. I'd forgotten the detail that, of course, they sang together because voices carry. They didn't even have to put themselves in danger to do that. They could just sing and be heard. And as long as no one was firing, you would hear the voices on the other side, and they joined in. can you even begin to imagine what it must have been like to be the first person to put their head above the trench and, request a temporary truce? That must have been utterly terrifying. I have no idea if we know who it was that did that, but well, I guess it was more than one person because it would have been in different places along the front, but each of them, my goodness, what a thing they did. Anyway, let's go back and look at this. Wow, what a thing. Oops, I always do that. I mean, looking at this as an intro, the only thing I can imagine about the real thing is it would have been more chaotic. I can't even begin to imagine what that experience must have been like, but to my head, I just, we can only take so much in, but I can only imagine. I don't know the truth of it, but I feel like it must have been even more chaotic than this. But I feel like they're showing it really well. We immediately get multiple points of view. We're about to get that great cut here where the grenade is thrown and we pick up from the perspective of the person who it lands near, and that's great. It's really good storytelling, but it also introduces us very quickly to the people that we're supposed to pay attention to in this, i.e. the band. But I love that we're seeing it. We're not seeing it from the perspective of above the trenches in any way. We're seeing it from the perspective of the people, because ultimately that's what this is about, right? It's the people. Because it was the people who said, let's stop for a bit and let's pay some respect to everybody on this field of battle, not just our own side. It wasn't the war didn't stop. There was no official ceasefire. It was the people. And that's what we're looking at here, and I think that's fantastic.
Ready! Ready! Come on, man, wake up!
I'm so grateful. This is an aside, but I'm so grateful they went with the dulling of the sound rather than the sort of almost stereotypical grenade tinnitus at this point, where you get that whistling sound. Partly because I think it's overdone and there's something more subtle about this, and partly because I have a permanent case of tinnitus that I've had now for 20 odd years, I think. And something like that would set it off straight away. So I'm glad that they're not doing that, because it would also make it harder to enjoy the music afterwards. But yes, I think the subtlety of this, the choice to dull the sound rather than do that whistle, is great, and it doesn't detract in any way from what's going on.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hannes!
That's so much less than it could be. Like, I know this is there, but like they do that thing where it's like you can't hear anything, you just hear the whistle, and that's what I'm referring to.
Come on!
So this is Hannes, I assume. Hannes being the drummer, I think they said. Interesting choice there too, to start the music over a field of the dead. Again, I feel like in real life this would have been significantly more chaotic, and I think it's probably good from a general viewing point that it's not. But this is an interesting point to start, because this is ultimately what they walked out to. And this is the first time we really see above the trenches, and we're seeing where they're going to go. That's a great choice. And of course, the snow's fallen. I love that they have a couple of points, like you see the trench in the back on the right, and also where the shell has fallen and blown a crater in the ground. There are these dark patches where the snow isn't there. And yet, it's already begun to cover up the horror. of what's really happened here for the past however long it was. It's at least a couple of weeks, I think they were in the trenches before. I don't know exactly how long. Again, my World War I knowledge is abysmal. But yeah, it started to cover it up, which gives you, there's a sense of passage of time. There is also a very good sense of established time. Like this is really, really well done. And it starts snowing. I also really like, and this is a fairly well used technique, but I love the fact that you have the 15 bars there. There's the 3-4 bar phrases, the bum ba ba bum bum ba ba bum, and then when it comes to the climb, it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 boom, and we're back in again. It's not a 4th bar. It's nice. It catches you a little bit by surprise, even though it is a fairly well, fairly commonly used technique. But it's always, I think it's great, particularly at the beginning of a song, because it gives it momentum. It pushes it forwards by coming in a bar earlier than you anticipate it's going to. And there again, the same thing. On the 16th bar, we start the next phrase, so it's actually a 15-bar phrase, and then we come back in, except this time we're pulling back again, which is great. I love that it's just Joachim playing the piano in the trench. I mean, I'm sure there wouldn't be a piano in the trench. I mean, maybe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure there were instruments there. Pipes, as we see later, it seems very likely. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody had a guitar or some sort of small stringed instrument like a violin or something like that. Maybe some small wind, piccolo, penny whistles, that sort of thing, drums. All of those seem possible, certainly. Music has been a part of warfare for a very long time, whether it's being used to rouse the men and be an encouragement and a support, or whether it's being used to actually pass commands around. Different drum patterns or different trumpet calls would be used to pass commands long distances, especially when armies were huge and widely spread, and it's not like one person could yell from one end to the other. So yeah, I'm sure there were instruments there. Probably not a piano would be my guess, but I would be delighted to be proved wrong about that.
Silence.
A couple of interesting things there. I love that we settle before this starts, before we go into the song. There is that moment of humanity of just looking at the photograph, and again, that's what they're doing. They're showing so much humanity in this, and that's such a nice touch before we then go into the music. And I also love, it's just great, very simple but very great editing of, as the word silence is said, the eyes open here. It's very, very simple, but just nice, effective. I always appreciate a well-timed cut.
Silence. Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence.
So do I assume, my assumption looking at this is that everybody is hearing Joachim singing and reacting to him as if it were the beginning of the Christmas carols that was sung that kind of started the camaraderie back in the day? That's my guess. If that is the case, assuming that is the case, it's a lovely touch because it is a modern take on what actually happened. And that's what so much of this video is, modern takes on what truly happened, and that's great. I'm going to go back on this. I want to actually listen to what they're singing. What Joachim's singing.
Silence. Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence.
That's such an extraordinary thing, isn't it? Those lyrics are so good. I remember Silence because it was so weird. I'm sure most of us, even those of us who live in big cities, silence is something we can come by if we want to. I mean, of course, modern technology makes it significantly easier. I have a pair of AirPods Pro. I can turn them onto noise cancelling, and the world kind of disappears for a little bit. But, even just going to a quiet room of the house or whatever it happens to be, I feel like silence is something we take for granted when we can get it. And the idea of it being so memorable because it was so rare. And we were used to the violence. And there again, something so alien to, I hope, most of our experiences. Being familiar with violence, being used to violence, because that's what had been known for 5 months at this point in time. That's enough to send chills down your spine. Beautifully written.
Then all the candles went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land.
That's a nice touch, because of course voices didn't sing from no man's land, they sang from the trenches on the other side of no man's land. But no man's land is where they came from, and no man's land is where they're going to go and meet for the truce. So ultimately that's where the voices did come from in the long run. I love that. And here, even before I carry on, just so that I don't have to stop again, we are all friends. The emphasis there isn't that we are friends. It's we are all friends, which is why they're repeating it 4 times. We are all friends. Which makes that line significantly more potent. And really focuses in on the point of this thing, which is it was 3 days of everybody coming together.
Sang to me from no man's land. We are all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns lay to rest on the snowflakes. Our Christmas.
I'm just listening now. Because this is so well put together. It's really hard not to just give into it. Wow, this chorus. I knew it was coming, and I'm still so affected by the words. And it's such a great melody. It's kind of got... It's something in the vein of almost like a drinking song or a sea shanty. It's got that very... It sticks around a select few notes for the most part. It doesn't go crazy. It's not covering... It's not a melody that covers 2 octaves or has crazy jumps in the middle of it. It's all sticking around a very comfortable point, and that makes it... it's easy to connect to. And I think it's such a good choice for this, because that, again, this is about humanity, this is about connection. And they're not making it hard for us to connect through to the music. Going back on that. That's another thing, isn't it? Today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Just, it didn't have to continue through the night and for 2 more days. It could have stopped at nighttime. And it didn't. It kept going through, and I love the fact that they're actually tracking the passage of time in the chorus. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. White ground any other color than brown or red must have been so uncommon I can imagine the snow being a relief, being something so different to what they'd experienced for so long. Um, I also love this touch, and I don't think I'd have caught it if I hadn't freeze framed right here. I hope I would. But the fact that this notebook that we're looking at contains the lyrics that are being sung, that's great. That's such a great line, isn't it? Our guns laid to rest among snowflakes, and they sit on snowflakes. Snowflakes. It takes a moment of importance in what's being said. And I love this idea that one of the hardest things in the world, and I'm not talking durability, like diamond or something like that, but there's nothing soft about a gun. And there's nothing hard about a snowflake. And I love that combination. That's great. Our guns laid to rest among snowflakes. One of the hardest things in the world laid to rest among one of the softest things in the world. That's fantastic. That chorus in the background as well, it's filling out so much space. And even though it's very clear that Joachim is our focus and we're listening to him sing the melody, you get the sense that there are so many more people singing with him. Which, of course, you know, it's almost like every soldier in these areas where this happened was singing all at the same time. And it's great. I love that the chorus, it's there from the beginning. We're not, it's not coming in 3/4 the way through the song. Because it is a chorus. This song is a chorus. It just happens to be fronted by one person. I can imagine that being the reaction. Right? You turn around and happen to see one of your colleagues voluntarily, very slowly, and without trying to hide himself in any way, sticking his head above the trench in World War One. Wow. Like, you'd be diving at him in a heartbeat trying to get him back down again. And that's why I said earlier, like, what must it have been like to be one of those people who took that chance? Whew. I mean, yeah. What is there to say about that? War is madness. I love this in a foreign land where we faced our fears. Yeah. Like, war must be terrifying. And facing that for so long, too. That's the thing. It's not something that you face and it's gone away. It's not like you're running over hot coals or, you're down in a cage with sharks for 5 minutes. It's incessant. So you truly were facing fears. And I think, I've spoken to a lot of World War II veterans. My grandfather flew with the Fleet Air Arm, which is the naval flight wing in the UK back in the day. And I spoke to a lot of veterans through going to events with him. And I think everybody got scared at some point. You couldn't not, even if you were brave at the beginning. And I don't know how anyone could be brave for long. It's not something I can understand. I don't have that kind of bravery. But it's going to weigh you down. That's the thing. It just keeps going and going and going. And by here, they've been going at it for 5 months. Like, what an extraordinary and truly fright-inducing experience that must have been.
We were soldiers, carried the war on our shoulders, for our nations. What are you doing? It starts when we bury our friends.
Woo! Oh my goodness. Yeah, they were soldiers. And what's being a soldier? At its rawest form, it's a job. and it, you know, carrying the war on our shoulders. They were the people who were out there, both dealing with this thing that had been put upon them, and also making it happen. And that must have been hard too, because did they understand? Probably not. Yeah, this is so affecting. I'm kind of having a hard time forming thoughts to an extent, because this is just, it's so extraordinary and so beautifully put together. And then what did they get for that? They got to bury their friends. My head cannot even begin to imagine. I think it's so you know, what are the things that we share? We share games, we share music, we share a need for community and friendship, and all of those things got to be in a way that they hadn't for so long at this point. And I love that the way that they're showing this, just in that chorus. We've seen so much. We've seen, you know, the soldier. My guess would be this is the French soldier, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm guessing based off uniforms and also who they are with, the fact that there were two different uniforms in the trench. Bringing out guitar, there's your music. We have people shaking hands and talking. There is friendship, there is community. Playing games. Like all the things that we crave, and which had always been, I imagine for so long, had been a risk, and also restricted to behind the boundary that was the edge of your trench. And I think the direction of this video is just beautiful, because it shows all of that so efficiently and so quickly, and it's so great. It's one of the reasons this song is so affecting, is it pulls us into these characters in no time at all. I just I love the visual of playing the acoustic guitar when actually it's this epic guitar solo going on behind. I don't know if is this Tommy or is this Chris? I don't know. They are, to my understanding, the two guitarists. I just love how seriously, and it makes it, like, I'm chuckling a little bit because I'm analyzing this and I'm looking at it, but in the context of the video, it doesn't feel out of place. It's that merge, once again, of contemporary and of the time. This is the instrument that would presumably have been out there on the field if someone had a guitar, and yet we're hearing these powerful metal electric guitars. It's great. I love it. It's brilliant. Such a great breakaway then immediately from this strong electric guitar solo. We've got this very powerful guitar sound coming out, and then we break down to low guitars, bass, the string pad that's going on here. It pulls back to be a much more spread out but still very impactful sound. It's still very strong, but it's a completely different tone. It's such a good sort of follow-up immediately from this, front, very forward guitar solo. That cut, I love that, because I'm sure that must have been what it felt like to an extent. Um, there's a moment, I feel like there's a moment like that in Band of Brothers too, where just the association of an everyday object behaving like one of the objects you have been dealing with for so long, it must be so difficult not to see that. And I feel like that to a very large extent. I have no experience with this whatsoever, but in my, mind that has no place really to comment on this, but I feel like that must be a certain extent of what PTSD must be like. You see a round object arcing through the air. Well, for the last 5 months, any round object that's been arcing through the air has been a grenade. Of course it's going to be something difficult to deal with. I can't even begin to think what that must be like, and I may be completely off-piste, in which case I apologize for, I guess not the assumption, but the presumption of what something must be like. But that is one of the most effective cuts to do with war and its after effects I think I've ever seen. And that's what he's seeing. Like, ultimately, they're having a wonderful time for a couple of days, and they're playing, and they're exchanging food and gifts and all that sort of thing. But what's really going on under your mind? Like, was everyone out there worried that at a second's notice the other side would turn, or were they just there feeling the weight of everything that had happened up to that point? Again, I can't begin to imagine. And it's a privilege for me to be able to say that, because so many people don't have to imagine that. Again, he's playing an upright piano. We're hearing a string pad. It's the same. It's the same thing. We're seeing one instrument played. We're seeing but we're hearing the contemporary version of that. It's so good, and I just love this touch. That, where are we? 5 minutes in. I guess he first appeared carrying the cross about 45 seconds a minute ago. I love that we see this monument being erected over the course of the remainder of the video. We've seen what it is we need to memorialize, what we need to remember, and what is so important that we can't let go of. We need to remember what war is and what a terrible thing it is, and we need to try to do whatever we can to avoid it, and we need to remember the people who went through it to make things better for us. And that's the track that this video takes. That's the 3 acts of the story almost. And that's just a wonderful thing. What a great moment to put on there. That moment of tension where they put in the gunfire in the background, presumably, maybe not that far down the trenches, there's a group of people who have not decided to take this risk and who've continued the fighting. And my goodness, what a wake-up call and a reminder and a stark interruption to what was going on must that have felt like. And then this "we were all friends" takes on a slightly different meaning. It's not just remembering it back in the day. It's them almost remembering it in the moment, because it wasn't long before that dissipated and went away. Wow. Also, I love that we get that same arc, and this time it's a football that lands, but notice the colour. When the ball is kicked here, we have a lot of the kind of the grasses on the ground. We see different uniforms across the board. Are those Prussian uniforms in the background? I don't know why. I always imagined the spiked helmet to be a Prussian thing, but I might be... No, I don't think that's right. Anyway, but we have German, we have British, we have French, and we have this array of colour. And then immediately the ball lands. We're not cutting back to the grenade, but there's something about the starkness of this image that is almost as bleak. Because now the ball is this dark object in an otherwise barren land. And although the snow is the white that is covering things, all of a sudden it also feels like it's covering the camaraderie that had been allowed to build up for a while. That's... oh, I love that. I think that may also be the first time we've seen the ball stop. I might be wrong about that, but I feel like we've always seen it in play. And it's like, at the very least, it's been caught on a foot, stunned for a moment, and then is kicked to the next player. And there it's just stopped dead. And it's like, now the game's stopped. Ooh! I love this break. We lose the instruments. We just have Hannes and all the singers. And it's... oh. And this feels like a drinking song. This feels the most like a drinking song of anything in the whole thing. Of just, today we're all brothers. Today we're having a good time. Tomorrow, who knows? And I feel like this video kind of covers the whole truce in it. I don't know, were there even groups who were in a truce for an entire, 3-day period, or was it temporary again? I don't know. I don't have that knowledge, but regardless, the entire truce period is covered within the boundaries of this video, and as we get towards the end of it, we get towards that truce breaking again. And so these shaking hands, these gift exchanges right now, have an even more poignancy to them than they did at the beginning.
A moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. On Christmas on the front line.
What must it have felt like to walk away from that? That must have been the worst part of all of it, no? Walking back, letting that go. And now we're back to guns again. We've gone right back to bullets and explosions and all the darkness that they'd been able to forget for a short period of time. What a last line. Those who never made it home when the battle had commenced. Damn. And there it is, the memorial to the Christmas truce. And now wearing, I'm pretty sure, contemporary clothes. Didn't get the best look at them. So now we are in contemporary times. It's 2021. And we're back still at this memorial, still remembering that it was a thing. Whew. after all of this, that is this image right here. I wanted to look at the credits as they went by. Yeah, so original story by Per. Per being the bassist for the group. And there we have the band, the Soldiers. Yeah. I'm letting this roll by again because, quite frankly, every single person who worked on this deserves credit. I mean, what a... It was a short film. It was a, what, 6-minute, 45-second long film. And the quality of it was extraordinary. And of course, it's, you know, the music is the thing. They're a band. That's what they do. But this isn't just music, is it? I didn't catch that first time. All these people building trenches. Whew. And then they all are with their, not their film credits, but their music credits. Making of. Oh, I'd like to see that. So we know the story is by Per, music by Joachim, and lyrics by both of them. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's Floor Jansen. Okay, that makes complete sense why it's such a stunning vocal. I missed that first time around. Wow. Yeah, that checks. Yeah. And I love so much that we end on these bells. Oh, man. I am very glad that was recommended to me. That... Wow. What a song! First of all, even just listening to that would be heartbreaking. But then paired together with that video... That was a thing. Yeah. That is beautiful. What a memorial. What a memorial. I remember back in... This is a weird side anecdote, but back in 2014, Sainsbury's, which is a big supermarket in the UK, did a Christmas ad. I'll link it in the description below. That commemorated the Christmas truce, because of course that was the centenary. And I remember that having everybody I knew in tears. But this was a much more potent memorial, in my opinion. because of the detail they went into. And it was a stretch. They didn't just focus on the 3 days. They focused on what it was like leading up and what it became again afterwards. And that's an extremely powerful choice, because that isn't pretty. Those aren't the bits we want to hold a candle up to. But we also can't forget them, because we need to stop making, I don't know what the right word is, decisions, mistakes. We need to find a way as a species to put our differences aside. And that we have to remember, because that is a terrible, terrible thing that can happen if we don't do that. Sorry, that was a nonsensical sentence. The Great War was an awful consequence of a lot of factors, but of differences. That is a large part of it. Oh my goodness, I need to go and watch something more cheery. But I need to think for a minute first, because wow. I don't know if I hope you enjoyed this video is the right phrase, but I hope you did. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and thank you again to those who recommended it to me. I really appreciate that. If you did enjoy this, or if you got something from it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, notifications, all that. All of my links are down below. And yeah, that was something truly extraordinary, and I'm glad I watched it. And I hope you got something out of this too. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.